Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for taking time off to come on a Sunday to honor my mentor and teacher, Professor B.RAMAMURTHI, on the 100th birth anniversary celebrations. The Medici effect I have used to signify his enormous influence on neurology, neurosurgery, and neurosciences in this country. Professor Ramamurthy loved birthdays. He had an infectious enthusiasm for celebrating birthdays, and every birthday was utilized to improve the department, to get some new books, to improve the wards. And we have continued the tradition to celebrate the Indian neurosurgery and its progress. The Medici effect is a term coined to refer to a sudden change, to a sudden paradigm shift, a gross leap across chasms, and suddenly the thing changes for the better. This is Cosimo de' Medici. He was a banker, and he triggered a remarkable revolution which Lorenzo the Magnificent, his son, brought to full fruition. Around him developed brilliant sculptors, painters, scientists, map makers, bankers. So these people, these individuals like Mirandola, like Ramamurthy. Look at the spectrum in 1967, Frontiers in Neurology. Future trends in clinical neurosciences. It can be a group of people, like a set of scientists together, like Thomas Willis, Boyle, all together. They got together, like-minded peoples, and there was a sudden spark of brilliance. Values in the medical field, neurology appeared in the past decades. This was all Ramamurthy. Robert Hooke was similar to him in the terms of the encyclopedic interests which Chief had. You can see the great Robert Hooke, whether it was gravity, whether it was planets, whether it was astronomy, whether it was zoology, he was interested in everything. And this is a hallmark of people who trigger this renaissance. In science, whether they develop their own specialty, whether they develop the specialty of neurology, neurosurgery, and the neurosciences. And Chief did all of that. He was very, very well aware that Harvey Cushing and the legacy which he had established in the United States, and he wanted to have that legacy re-established and continued in India and Asia. So Indian neurosurgery was and still continues to be guided by his vision, whether it was simple articles on the use of the microscope or experience with large pituitary macroadenomas, experience with large vestibular schwannomas. All this was due to the distillation and collection of knowledge which he gathered by visiting various neurosurgeons, neurologists, neuropathologists all over Europe, and in very renowned centers in the US and Canada. And this was him. This was him with a lot of people, rubbing shoulders, not only rubbing shoulders, forming lifelong friendships. And this mischievous enthusiasm, this look out for having fun, this remembering to be a child all your life, remembering not to get calcified or petrified. This was him again, near the Great Wall of China, riding a camel. And look at this happiness on his face when riding a donkey. So this goes on. You can see the way the photographs itself reflects his enthusiasm. He was the laughing and dignified face of Indian neurosurgery. He was there at all the significant meetings of his era. Here he is greeting the Shah of Iran. This is the first Asian Australasian conference. And this list goes on. For example, just see the luminaries in this. You have Lindsay Simon, you have Sano, Yasargil, Suzuki, Drake, Peerless, all in one level and stature. And they respected him a lot, especially so in Southeast Asia and other parts of Africa, where he made a point, whether it was Nepal, he made it a point not only to visit them, to learn from them, and to encourage them to form their own schools of neurosurgery. And this was there because he probably started looking east before many more people. And Indian neurosurgery was way ahead of the other schools of neurosurgery, Japanese neurosurgery, Chinese neurosurgery. And it was quite well because he was very, very clear that he started a training program quite early. And so this is Professor Kano. So the list goes on and on. At this point, I just look at this slide on the blackboard. It is the Indian Association of History welcomes to the occasion of the birth centenary of Harvey Cushing. On Harvey, and the presentation is by the Harvey Cushing of India, Professor B.RAMAMURTHI. So he himself has written that he had a great interest in history of medicine. This man, Professor Wilder Penfield, and you have Professor S.T. Narasimhan standing behind, was remarkable in, sort of triggering this urge for excellence in Professor Ramamurthy. And the body language between them is really remarkable indeed for all of us to see. That, scientifically, so Penfield's mentor was Sherrington, and this love for electrophysiology, neuroelectrophysiology, epilepsy surgery, functional neurosurgery, electrophysiology especially. So this brain mapping techniques and all, and this is Norman Dott. And so all these people molded his surgical hands and his surgical mind, which he obviously perfected to a great degree. He was a large volume surgeon from the beginning, and he also practiced in the private nursing homes. And this is him doing functional surgery. He was an astute clinician who always updated himself. So incidence of intracranial aneurysms in India, magnetic resonance, the magnetic eyes, an introductory article. A lifetime he dedicated to treating the poor and the powerful. And whether it was prime ministers or chief ministers or common laborers, the chief was equal in his rounds, equal in his treatment, equal in his compassion, and equal in his care. And that was taught to all of us who were his residents. And he had a great love and fascination with technology, but appropriate technology, as he would put it. He loved to talk, give talks on every type of topic, whether he was speaking to the Brahmins convention, whether he was talking to the press, general press, or to schools, colleges. He loved to be on the television, and he had a remarkable presence indeed. He founded societies, the Neurological Society of India. He was the first editor of the Neurology India, and he balanced this with his neurosurgical career remarkably, churning out experience and academic publications. His teacher was Professor Sanjeevi. On retirement, a sort of premature retirement, Professor Sanjeevi came to South Chennai, and this was the canal which you see, and opposite that, we are sitting in this part of the Madras city. This was the area where the hospital was started, and Jawaharlal Nehru laid the hospital's cornerstone. And you can see the student and the teacher also had a remarkable thing. And this was the earlier X-ray and the thing which was started at VHS. And this thing the institution has slowly grown. In 1978, he started his second institute, that is the PGNS ALNC. And this is the theater, early theater and theater lights. Now we have modular theaters, and we are planning a major upgrade in the coming year. This is him with Dr. Vincent. And the list goes on, trying to bring people and technology. This was an early EEG machine, which he was very interested in doing projects here. And he invited and attracted a lot of visitors from all over the world who came, and the academic ward rounds were always done. Academic neurosurgery was his forte, whether it was this article by Professor Pritikachari and Dr. Ramamurthy, aphasia and bilinguals, or medical education in India, who will bell the cat. He kept on with it. He attended meetings. He encouraged young people to speak. He encouraged young people to show their surgery. He was very, very encouraging. And he was behind the idea of these microneurosurgery workshops, which over the many 2 decades on, we have the 21st one, which we have just concluded. So you can see the enthusiasm. Even in this workshop, he was there. He was a very hard taskmaster, very, very, very stiff. And all his residents and his assistants, he would say that a kick will take you further than a pat on the back. And that was probably true. Till the very end. This is a meeting of all the distinguished scientists from India who assembled in the library at VHS for inculcating science in a doctor's training. This is him operating. Dr. Ramamurthy is operating with Dr. Vasudevan and me assisting him. Madam Indira Ramamurthy was an excellent person. The compassion and her concern for patients. She was a reputed gynecologist on her own right. And they had a remarkable companionship and a remarkable life together. And it was a pleasure to belong to the family, an extended family of Professor Ramamurthy. This is him continuing his academic work with textbooks. And the Project Ramamurthy is that he had a lot of dreams. He wanted to make the first university hospital. He wanted a medical college at VHS. He wanted this to be the first university private hospital. And I hope that we are able to fulfill his dream. We have him always with us, and he continues to guide us. Thank you.